I keep Shabbat, God watches over me, is a sign forever between me and God. Ki eshmer Shabbat el yishmereini. Ki eshmer Shabbat el yishmereini. Otri leomead ben ubeni.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to those who are here with us in Temple and those who are joining us via the magic of electronics. Shabbat Shalom to all. We continue on page 2. Deb and I don't know if Roger's coming up as well, but Deb and Roger will be lighting the Shabbat candles. Looks like Deb alone, but Roger is here with us. And Deb and Roger are sponsoring tonight's Oneg Shabbat, and she's lighting the candles in memory of her mother, Esther Vilick. Janet, take it off. She gets the point. Page 20 for L'Chadodi.
as we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabba ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala u'vizman karim ve'imru amen Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam ulam me'amaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dekudashah
Barechu.
le'elam im kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ve'alma ve'imru amen. Page 28. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Arku et Adonai Hamevora. Arku et Adonai Hamevora. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai.
Page 31, together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Adonai
Page 36, you may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 42.
Adonai
bottom of 44. Yismechu v'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow the Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Page 46. Please rise as we begin the tefillah.
Adonai sifate tiftach ufi agite ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, U'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav lehoshia, Mahashiv haruach umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We are on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai. Today's Shabbat 57. Together at the bottom of the page. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odecha levadecha b'yera na'avod. Page 59. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'er v'hodos. 62.
60.
60. Oh, 60, okay. 60 is nice.
Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atah melech hador, bechol hashalom. Ki atah melech hador, bechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha livarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Omcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
Please take a moment for silent prayer. We'll meet on page 62. Yishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarif Karachel v'Leah, V'yivarech v'yalpeh et hacholim. We ask God's blessing of healing for all who are ill or in pain, who are in need of sustenance of body and spirit. In our congregation this Shabbat, we are particularly mindful of the needs of Jake Belsato, David Brody, Carol DeVore, Barbara Fisher, Stan Greenberg, Richard Hittow, Judy Hocker, Nomi Joyrich, Steve Keating, Sally Keaton, Gary Lincoln, Wendy Noodle, Mitchell Taigman, Shane Cinda, and Samuel Vainberg.
We add to those names any of those we have in our hearts. We sing the words of Misha Berach on page 253 together.
It has come to our attention that there are a number of members of the congregation whose pets are not doing well medically. And so we take a moment to pray to God that each of those beloved animals, companions, be restored to health and vigor so that they too can continue to do their avodah, their service to God, different than human service, but no less essential to the universe. Now I'm going to come down there. Pesach is coming. As some of you already know, we're going to be away for Pesach this year, and the food is going to be catered, much to my wife's chagrin. But then again, there's the other kind of angst when you have to prepare everything. So I'm not quite sure which is better, which is worse. But Pesach is a lot of work. It always is. If you're doing it, it's a lot of work. And that's interesting because we always approach Pesach around the time that we start reading the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, which is this Shabbat. Tomorrow morning we'll read Leviticus. And we're in Nisan, we're ready for Pesach. And the book of Leviticus is a very different book of the Bible. It's not the same as the others. I used to think of it as a disruption to the flow of the history, the flow of the story. But if you think about it, Exodus ends with the building of the tabernacle, a Mishkan, a place wherein God would dwell in our midst. And our Leviticus gets the name Leviticus in Greek because the rabbis called it Torah HaLevi'im. Now, not the Levites as second in command to the Kohanim, but in this case, the tribe of Levi, which includes the Kohanim and the Levites. So it's the book of the Levites. It's the book of how they are to do their job. It's the owner's manual, right? And if you've got a new car, there's more shtiklach in there than you can imagine. So there's lots of stuff in there because the Mishkan was like a new car to the Hebrews in the wilderness. And it wasn't easy. And of course, the book of Leviticus contains many of our ethical laws as well. And they are very important. They are no less important than the ritual laws. The ritual laws are no less important than the ethical laws. They work together. And we will get to them. We will be studying those laws in the weeks ahead. But the beginning of the book of Leviticus is a typology of the different kinds of sacrifices. It is impossible, I think, for a modern person to understand what they meant. We know that 2,000 years ago, the sacrificial system was overturned in favor of a system of mitzvot, a system of do's and don'ts, which are already there in the biblical text. But the way in which you went about your business was different. Prayer replaced sacrifices. The mitzvot that weren't there already were added, and so forth. But we still look back to that system of sacrifices. Complicated, complex, impenetrable to the modern mind. What we sometimes forget is that the name, the overarching name for the sacrificial system that we sometimes use is called avodah. Avodah. Avodah means what? It means work. It means work. Exactly correct. It also means worship. Right? Avodah means worship. It means the work that you do. As you heard a few moments ago, animals have their avodah. They have their job. The job of a butterfly is different than the job of a caterpillar. Well, they're kind of related. I'll use a better example than the job of your pet dog or cat. But it's avodah. Our philosophy believes that each of those animals serves God in its own way, contributes to the universe in its own way. But let's go back to the human aspect of this for a moment. And I'd like you to pause for a minute. You don't have to think of anybody in particular. And if you do, don't say it. There's always a knocker in every congregation. When he or she meets, I'm egalitarian, kids, when he or she meets the new rabbi, or even the new temporary rabbi, they say, "Rabbi, I don't believe in God." There's always, that's a script. And of course they think they're being very creative, and they also think that they're going to throw the rabbi. And sometimes they do, but not me. Okay, fine. You don't have to believe in God to be Jewish. We have an ancient system of ethics, of right and wrong, of how we deal with each other as human beings, how we deal with nature. Hey, you don't want to believe in God? Fine. Say it's a human developed system. That option has always been there, right? Since the Renaissance, the option of not believing in God has kind of been there. Somehow and comes to full flower with humanism in the 18th century. And I'm not surprised that people take that option. Why? Because connecting to God and believing in God is avodah. It's work. It's hard. It's not easy. Our ancestors who first read the book of Leviticus and tried to act on its prescriptions for sacrifices, first of all, how anybody remembered all that stuff is beyond me. But then think about it. You got to take an animal, you have to slaughter it, you have to butcher it, you have to put fire and wood, and it's work. It's avodah. You have to soak the meat, not to make corned beef, but to make it smoke and create a column of smoke that you hoped reached up to the deity himself. Sorry, it wasn't the her yet. And that took a lot of work. You had to schlep stuff. You had to bring stuff. The person, the walking around sneezing Israelite, had to work at it. The Levites had to work at it. The Kohanim had to work. It was expensive. It was cumbersome. It was messy. It was work. But our ancestors believed that they had to put in that work. They had to make that commitment if they were going to connect to God. If they were going to have a sense of God's divine presence in our lives and in their lives, it wasn't going to happen by accident. The mechanisms changed. Just like the mechanisms of connection have changed in our lives. I remember when the office that I worked in got its first fax machine. I remember when we got it. It was a box. It had a place to put a telephone receiver, which nobody even knows what that is anymore, right? Had a place to put a telephone receiver, and it had that smelly silvery paper, right? And it turned around. This is Dreitzig, right? It turned around and around. But it was a miracle because you could send one page, typed page, if it was clear, you could send it from one office to the other, even from New York to Washington in the case of the office that I worked in, right, in 20 minutes. Wow, that's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Now, when Janet drafts an outline for our wonderful services, which she does so magnificently, and she wants to send it to me, right? She sends it to a Google thing, which she taught me how to use, right? And then I look at it, and then we discuss it together. She's here, I'm in Cleveland. How long did it take? A 20th of a second, maybe, not 20 minutes for one thing. And we sent copies and materials, like we had our 2 classes online this week. Look at them. But even though the way we connected with each other was different, it still took work. It still took commitment. Some thought had to go in to the service outline that Janet prepared. Some thought had to go into whatever we were studying on a given night or what we'll study tomorrow morning. The work had to be put in. And in some ways, when the rabbis invented the mitzvah system, what they were teaching us was, look, the way we will connect to God after the destruction of the temple will be different. But it won't be any easier. It's still going to take avodah. It's still going to take work and commitment and time and energy, if not physical energy, certainly emotional and spiritual energy. So when that knocker comes over to me or you or any of us and is proud of the fact that they don't believe in anything, I am too polite on most days to ask the question, did you try? Did you try? Because I'm a rabbi, I'm not supposed to embarrass you. But if you probe it, I think that most of the time they didn't try. The ways are different. I listened to a webinar yesterday about how technology has affected religion. Not just us, but all religion around the world. And yes, the way we connect with each other and the way we connect with God is not the same way we did it before. But what the beginning of the book of Leviticus teaches us is that it's Avodah. It's work. But it's work well worth doing. Shabbat shalom.
We continue with Aleinu as we rise on page 282. Aleinu l'shavech la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula li'otzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchelkeinu kahen, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'olam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachalim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'moshe karom b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo v'gam meromim hu Eloheinu einon emet malkeinu efezulato kagatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashebota and levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim hashamayim ima'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat einon v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz vayom hagu kinyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please remain standing. We turn to page 294. We note the recent passing of Joel Schmerin and Thomas Friedman, father of Melissa Rakolta. This Shabbat, we remember the yard sites of Zelda Beam, Helen Broadwin, Gladys Gabby Davis, Nancy Fisher, Lee Friedman, Lawrence Goldberg, Louise Goodman, Celia Gumenek, Beatrice Horwitz, Victor Kelmanson, Sally Lemkin, Manuel Linksman, Robert G. Markle, Robert Mursky, Ida Mursky, Nancy Meyer, Alan Paul, Walter Patrick, Julian Rosenfeld, Bernard Schulak, Herbert Sott, Joseph Tuckman, Esther Vielek, and Daniel Keith ward. Are there any other names we wish to add? Together, Yitgadal v'Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah B'Alma Divrach Yirutei V'Amlich Malchutei V'Chaye Chon V'Yomei Chon V'Chaye D'Chol Beit Yisrael V'Agala U'Vizman Kariv V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Li'Alam Li'Olmei Olmaya Yitparach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitromam V'Yitnaseh V'Yithadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shmei D'Kudsha B'Richu Le'Elamin Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbachata V'Nechemata Da Amiran Miyama V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Huya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. May God, who brings harmony to the heavens, bring peace to us, to all Israel and all humanity. Amen. Amen.
Announcements tonight are brought to you by Sue Farber.
All right, Sue Farber.
Thank you all for coming tonight, both here and at home. The ONED, which is special this evening, is sponsored by Deb and Roger Ford in memory of Deb's mom, Esther Velick. Tomorrow, join your fellow TKA members Saturday, March 25th, following services for Saturday Shabbat lunch at George's Restaurant on Northwestern Highway. All are welcome. Lunch is approximately 12:30. Please respond to Cynthia Katz. If you're here, she's here. Let her know. TKA Sisterhood invites all of the women to the TKA Annual Intergenerational Women's Seder. This will take place this coming Monday, March 27th at 6 o'clock in our social hall. Please bring both family and friends as we join together to celebrate this special occasion in person, not virtually, in the role of women in our history. There is no charge for sisterhood members, and each guest is $10. I know it's late and it's past the official RSVP date, but if you are interested in going and you're here tonight, you can tell me. If you're not sure, you can RSVP to Connie Silver. I think it's 2 weeks. Join us Friday, April 7th for our new First Friday dinner, when we will join together for dinner following services. We will go to Library Pub on Haggerty Road near Maple. Please RSVP to Eileen Heiger and come to the 6 o'clock service before dinner. I'm sorry? You're not going to do it. Okay, cancel the last two sentences. Okay. We can be flexible. For those of you that don't know, which I can't believe, Passover begins on Wednesday, April the 5th with the first Seder that evening. Please join us for our Passover Yizkor service on the following Wednesday, April 12th at 10:15. Wishing everyone Shabbat Shalom.
We invite up the Katzes tonight for Kiddush and Motzi, Cynthia and Howard. Please rise as we lift the cup in Thanksgiving on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch V'ishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litzion mitzrayim ki banu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
Hi.
We uncover our challah. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for the Oneg and the social hall.
Yes, for sure.